Chennai, if you ask me, is a little slice of hell. So the first morning, I headed off the ship straight to the train station. I had a plan. I was traveling alone in India, making my way to the most southern cape of India, to a little town I'd read about called Kanakumari. I was a little shy with my video camera at first, as usual, capturing people that couldn't see me filming them. It's easier to be the invisible observer. But then, this woman walked into my viewfinder. It's hard to describe what happened. She locked eyes with me, and I had a horrible sense of both fear and compulsion. I felt compelled to stare her dead in the eye. I don't know which one of us broke eye contact first, but it left me shaken. As we traveled through the countryside and I watched the people working out in the fields, thought about the poverty, I felt real ashamed of myself. That woman was selling nuts and I didn't buy any because all I had was a 100-rupee note, $2. And I thought to myself, I couldn't buy her nuts because I didn't have any small change. I got off the train after about 5 hours, a little town called Trichy, and keeping my feet on the ground, I walked around looking for a place to sleep. It was the signs that attracted me to the hotel and bar, Ashby. Now the Ashby was beyond funky, but I was dying for a cold beer.
Let's take a closer look at the sheets. Ooh, that's a little scary.
I headed straight for the market to buy myself some sheets for the rest of this journey. And then on to the temple. I kept my promise in Trichy. I made contact with the people I filmed. Mind you, I started off the easy way, with children. They love to have their picture taken and then look to see themselves in the viewfinder. Oh, and elephants. The temples in India have elephants that actually bless people. I left the temple as the sun was setting, very happy indeed. In the morning, I headed for the bus station and off for a 3-hour ride to Madurai. I had actually planned to go all the way to Kanakumari that day, but once on the bus, I realized I couldn't quite handle the 8-hour trip.
I only helping. Marijuana, Manali, helping.
My morning began in the most wonderful way with a marvelous rickshaw driver. And I mean a bicycle rickshaw this time. No more auto rickshaws for me.
Thank you.
And today, I set a challenge for myself. I was going to talk to the people on the streets. I was going to videotape, eye to eye. This is the first person I met. I paid her 100 rupees to videotape her. She read my shells, but of course I couldn't understand a word she was saying. But the smile she gave me when I passed her that 100 rupees, well, that made my day. I spent a few 100 rupees. Talking to people when I could. Making them smile was easy. Sometimes middle-class Indians would stop in the street and translate for me.
How much?
Andhra Pradesh lady. Tata.
I paid people to film them while they were stringing jasmine, and then of course I bought the jasmine, while they were ironing clothes, and when they were taking me for rickshaw rides. I treated my rickshaw drivers to coconut water and a few other people too. With some people, I just let them sleep and tucked a little bit of money under his shawl there. I got back on the train at midnight. You see, my plan was to get to Kanakumari for a sunrise pilgrimage. That's why I was going. Now, this little town is pretty special. It's a spot where 3 seas meet: the Bay of Bengal, the Arabian Sea, and the Indian Ocean. Now, 3 is a magic number. It's also a spot where hundreds of Indians go for a sunrise pilgrimage. When I arrived, I walked off the train with a few hundred people and made my way to the beach. It was indeed a glorious sunrise. But what made it so wonderful was, of course, the people I met. It began with a man who was selling coffee. He came over close to me and parked his bicycle beside me. You see, the crowd was giving me a lot of distance. People were staring at me. And I wasn't really uncomfortable because I was feeling so good about the day before. But anyway, this man, he asked me what was my name and where I came from and what did I do. I told him I was a professor from Canada. And then he proceeded to tell everybody who bought coffee from him that I was a professor from Canada. And those people walked away and told their friends, that woman over there, she's a professor from Canada. I could hear those 2 words, even though I couldn't understand anything else. Professor, Canada. And then, through the crowd, came a group of young college students. They introduced themselves and asked if they could sit with me.
Hi, good morning.
Prabhu?
Yeah, Shakespeare.
Shakespeare.
Yeah. Chandra.
Chandra?
Bala.
Bala? Yashkalan?
Manigandan.
Mariandan?
Vengadesh.
Wingles?
Balakrishna.
Maragushna. Nice to meet you all.
They were a marvelous bunch of young guys. They explained to me that everyone was staring at me so much because most of these people were from small villages, from rural India, and they didn't often see a white woman with blonde hair. My sunrise pilgrimage was such a magical moment. I got back on the train that morning after breakfast and began to write in my journal. I did indeed find myself a wonderful story, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself, and I learned a lot about people. And most importantly, I was no longer afraid to look the poverty that is India straight in the eye.
George Gilbert.
Where are you?
Orissa, Bihar.
Can he smile?
Let us see.